Welcome to Mary Pitts Live presents 31 Marital Gems. Are you single, married, divorced, or dating? If you answered yes, then this is for you. Mary Pitts is a pastor, spiritual advisor, author, world-renowned speaker, and entrepreneur. Here's your host, Mary Pitts.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mary Pitts Live presents 31 Marital Gems. This is your host, Mary Pitts. I am so blessed to be with you today. Just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to each and every one of you that are watching by our YouTube or either Facebook. God bless you. I tell you, we have been on a journey and I have enjoyed every moment of it, spending this time with you. And I pray that each and every one of you have been blessed. And today we are on gem number 30. Wow, 30. And yes, and we'll be talking about loveless marriage. And I don't know if we're going to finish that one, but anyway, I'm going to put forth the effort. But I just want to say I love you guys. I appreciate you so much for your continued support. And I just appreciate the testimonies. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate your feedback and just letting me know how you're being blessed. And that is my heart desire, is to be a tremendous blessing. And I love sharing my testimony. I love sharing how God have brought me through and what God has done for me. And as I've been saying every day, that my husband and I celebrated 31 years of marriage, December 16th on last year. And so God inspired us to share about 31 gems, my 31. I be personal with it, right? And so it's my 31 gems. These are things that God brought to me in relationship, whether it's marriage or in a relationship. We're always talking about and focusing on the other person, about what our spouse or whoever is not doing and what they're not doing. But, you know, God just calls me to begin to examine myself and begin to show me some things. And, you know, the change that you want to see it starts with me. And so I just bless God for you all today. I love you. Just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And remember First Friday, right? First Friday, Marriage Fitness, Friday, February the 5th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Looking forward to each and every one of you joining us. It is a free event and there is no charge for you. You just go to marypittslive.com and register, and we're using the Zoom platform and you will receive your login information. And so invite your spouse, all right? Invite your spouse. And so we're looking forward to being with you. And I tell you, I'm so excited about Sharita and Kim and Sharita Johnson that will be there. And they, I tell you, last month session was just really so awesome. And so Apostle Pitts and myself will be there as well. So we're looking forward. You know, it's great that couples can come together. When we come together, we draw strength from one another, learn from each other, and just a tremendous blessing. I was able to share last night. After I got off last night, I had a call and someone contacted me, and someone referred someone to me, and I'm telling you, just began to bring an awareness and cause her to see what was actually going on, and just brought so much peace. And she was like, "Thank you so much, Pastor Pitts. I just really appreciate it." She was thinking about just leaving her marriage, just leaving and all that. But when God began to use me to shine some light on the situation, call her to see certain things, she just began to see. And so I just praise God, because like I said, this platform is about how do we maintain the relationship. Often we start them, we end them, but how do we maintain the relationship, right? How do we do that? And it requires change. And so that's what we're all about, because we can go from one relationship to another, right? And I don't care what relationship, you're going to change. You're going to go through some changes, right? So, but anyway, we want to get right into our topic today. And again, I just want to thank all of you and appreciate all the guests, my guests that have been on with me and been sharing. And I just thank you so much. And so tonight's topic is loveless marriage. Loveless marriage. Ooh, loveless marriage. I'm going to hold that one there just for a second. So you can just think on that one. All right, loveless marriage. Loveless marriage. Ooh, a loveless marriage. What does that mean? A loveless marriage. Right? That is one to talk about. Well, let's get right into it, right? So, loveless marriage, loveless is basically just, not, there's no love, right? There is no love. And I tell you, going through situations in my marriage, and God just spoke to me and said, Mary, you try to make it complicated. And I'm like, okay. And see, I don't know, but the Lord speak very frank and blunt and direct to me, the Holy Spirit, and said, you're trying to make it complicated. Your love is based on conditions. And I'm like, based on conditions? And so I'm like, no, it's not. But who can tell God? God knows our heart. He knows us better than we do. But, and also I was thinking about Apostle Inez Nobles when she was on. Make sure you go back to that gym where we talked about secrets, keeping secrets, and how she was sharing that she told God, I don't love him anymore. And God say, love is not a feeling. It's your will to do. And so that was just so powerful. But I want to talk about seven. God gave me seven things to let us know, and basically bring an awareness to let you see that, okay, am I in a loveless marriage? And so when I say that, you're probably thinking about your spouse, right? So, but when I share these 7 points, I don't want you to think about your spouse. I want you to think about you. I want you to focus on you. Okay. And so let's focus on us first. And but anyway, God began to share with me about loveless marriage. And so it is so important. And it's basically having no feeling of love. It's a lacking proper sympathy or concern or interest. It's also a cold and uncaring manner, attitude, or person. And so in a loveless marriage, conflict and active hostility are replaced by a frosty calm. As somebody we used to call it kind of nice, nasty, but it's kind of like, they're calm, but they cold, and people say thank you. They work at functional teams and parent and maintain a home. What happens is that you work as functional teams, right? And so to parent the home and to maintain the home, right? But they themselves are no longer part of the equation in an emotional sense. You are detached. You're no longer a part of the equation. And so a lot of times the question you want to ask, am I staying in this marriage because of the love for God? And it's possible to do that. Staying in the marriage because of the love of God and the love for your children, but not really the love for your spouse. In other words, you are emotionally detached. You're not there, not feeling the sense of love, right? And so God began to speak to me and share with me. And these things that I've been sharing, these gems that I've been sharing, they are going to be in my book. Actually, it's book is that I'm working on as we've been sharing these gems, and these are gems, and the content of it is shared in my book that I am writing. So you'll be able to get a copy of that, and we'll be able to share more information on that in days and weeks to come, right? So, but anyway, God began to say about these particular points that I want to bring. Is actually an acronym, right? And the acronym is, the word for is divorce, right? DIVORCE. And so God began to identify and to begin to bring an awareness and shine a light on this loveless marriage, this, and how, if you're there, you're headed towards divorce. But I want to bring an awareness. So you know what? We don't have to go down that road, right? So the D is disengaged. In other words, you remove or withdrawn, emotionally detached. You separate or you don't release yourself from something or someone, from something which they are. And so when you detach yourself from, you could be physically there, but you detached emotionally. Mentally, you're not there. And so, how you know that you're not tuned in with your spouse? You miss birthdays, holidays, special occasions, or you wait to the last minute and to buy something. You know what I mean? In other words, what you bought made you feel good, but it wasn't about your spouse, right? So you really detach. You disengage. And so once you become that way, and I like to say too to pastors and leaders, a lot of times that what we do, and we appreciate our congregation and churches and stuff remembering us during these special occasions and stuff, but do not allow that doesn't exempt you from doing something for your spouse, right? So what you do for your spouse has to be known that it coming from you, from your heart, from you. You know what I mean? It's not connected around with the church and what the church, or that the church did this and the church did that, or the company did this or what have you. But you have to make sure that what you're doing is standing out. This is not connected with the church. This is totally separate. And so when you are disengaged, you not only disengage or remove yourself from that, right? But you also going to be connected to something else. So you have to watch that, because once you become disengaged, you remove yourself, you withdraw, you're going to connect with something else. Either you're going to get, what do we connect with? We go overboard, we stand at work long. We get all involved in ministry and church and just really go overboard with that. Or we stay, we prolong certain things so we don't have to. Or it can be another person, right? You can be all engaged. So if you disengage and remove yourself from over here, something over here got your attention, right? So you have to watch that. All right. So anyway, that was D, disengage. Make sure you write that down. The next one is I, is insulting. You become disrespectful or scornfully abusive. You have offended that person either intentionally or unintentionally. A rude or offended mark. You're sarcastic. You trying to say jokes. You saying different things, and you're abusive in your words. And I pray you not become physically abused, because we don't deal with that physically abuse. No, that's where you're gonna have to separate. When somebody physically abusing you, where you can hit and beating you up in your face, and all that stuff like that. No. You're gonna have to get yourself up out of there, right? So I don't even recommend staying in an abusive relationship. Right. And so what am I saying? They need to get some help. You need to get some help if you're abusive. And so it's not just men abusive. Don't get it wrong. Don't just think men, because I done seen some women beat up some men. Right. So don't just get it wrong. Think that men just the only one that can be abusive, but women can be abusive as well. And so you're insulting, you're disrespectful, you say things and you're hurting your spouse feeling. You say things, you're rude. You say things in front of the children. You say things in front of, at the wrong time. No wisdom. You just loose tongue, right? And so you say things like, that's my baby daddy, or what, things like that, and not reference him as your spouse, as your husband, as your lover. And so it's insulting. You become insulting, right? And so that's the next one. The third one is V, is victimize. You victimize refers to a person being made into a victim by someone else, and can take on psychological as well as physical forms, both of which are damaging to the victims. And so you are deceptive, you deceiving, you discriminate against, and you exploit, which means that you take advantage of, you use, and you persecute, and you pick on, and you prey on. You are victimized. You do those things. And so we want to make sure that we're not caught up into these things, right? And so I'm moving swiftly because I only have a few minutes, but the next letter is O, which is offensive. You causing someone to feel deeply hurt, upset, or angry. You actively aggressive. Come on, you attacking, you're rude, or you're hurtful behavior, causing displeasure or resentment excitement, giving painful or unpleasant sensations. This is the part that I love because I like to explain, elaborate on, because we giving painful or unpleasant sensation. You may think you're okay because you're not saying anything verbally out of your mouth, but you have unpleasant sensations. What am I talking about? A physical feeling or perception resulting from that, what? Resulting from that that happens to or comes into contact with the body. In other words, you ever been somewhere, they could be talking and stuff, but you get some bad vibes from them, sensations from them, and so you have to watch that as well, because you have to understand that we are spirit beings. And so you can't just hide that. And so you become what this word is, offensive. And so we become offensive. And you know what? The thing about it, and when the spouse bring it to your attention, you don't try to rectify that. What you say, oh, you sensitive. You just, oh God, you need to own up. You need to do, you know what I'm saying? But we're offensive. With our words and with our body language, we're offensive. And so we have to watch that, okay? And the next word is rejection. Rejected is dismissed as inadequate, inappropriate, or not to one's taste, and so you always you turn down past scorn, freedom, a person or thing dismissed as failing to meet standards or satisfy taste. And so you reject. Why? Because you reject your spouse. Why? Because they're not satisfying. They don't meet your standards, right? And a person may reject or refuse to accept a gift, for example, in the field of mental health, but we're not going to talk about that. But rejection most frequently refers to the feelings of what? Shame, sadness, or grief people feel when they are not accepted by others. A person might feel rejected after a significant other ends a relationship. But what we do is we begin to reject our spouse. Why? Because they're not up to the standard that we want, or what have you, like that. And so it is very important that we remember that how we reject it. A lot of times our no is interpreted as rejection. And so when you constantly and consistently saying no, when you constantly and consistent saying, maybe you don't say no, but you don't never follow through. You never do anything. And so now it's you rejecting them, right? And so you have to be conscious of that and begin to examine yourself on that, right? And so that's R. And then C is cheating, right? And so the name we talk about broadly, we think about cheating when it comes to as being emotionally or sexually unfaithful to your partner who you are in a close relationship with. So, but having intimate, physical, emotional contact with another person, it also means unfaithful, disloyal and treacherous, and so the thing about that is it means to break a promise made, right, to someone such as your spouse. And by having, you could be having sex with someone else. So it's just not just physical, but it is also emotional, right? You could be cheating on your spouse emotionally. And then this is the other thing that God revealed to me. You could be cheating on your spouse with time, right? Time, with your time, you don't cheat. You give all your time to someone else. It's not cheating with an individual. You could cheat with time. It's spending your time all the time at work, spending all your time at church, spending all your time at, with the kids, spending all your time, you cheat all the time, and you give everybody else all this ample amount of time, but you cheat on your spouse when it comes to those things. So let's pay close attention to all of those things that we begin to do. All right. So we talked about D as in what? Let's go back over those. I hope you are taking these down. D is disengaged. I is insulting. V is victimized, and O is offensive. And yes. R is what? Reject. And C is cheating. And the last letter is E, which is examine. And this is really a good one, because examine means to inspect or someone or something, right? It's pretty much investigating in detail to determine the nature of the condition or something of that nature. So what am I saying? A lot of times when we the word examine, we're examining our spouse. How much time we spend examining our spouse, investigating our spouse. Come on, signing up. And you stop examining yourself, and now you're focusing on examining your spouse. And so, and within that examination is pointing of the finger. And so who wants to be around somebody who always examine them? Always. And sometimes you may not examine, but your sensation, the vibes that you come off, it's like you sizing them up to see what, when they dress, you got to see if they got everything right. And so it could be kind of, you examining them all the time. It's something wrong with them, because what you're doing is, it's not about the person. It's about how you got this image that, yes, we represent one another. We represent Christ. We represent our spouse and stuff like that. But you're so caught up in this image thing to that it's all about how it gonna make you look. It's not really about your spouse. It's how it's gonna make you look. You understand? Because we know how society is. I mean, my husband could wear the two wrong color socks. Instead of they saying he got on the wrong socks, they'll say, well, how she let him come out like that with them different color socks, black and blue? You know what I mean? He dressed himself. And so you do these things examining because you don't want that on you, right? That pressure on you. So we examine our spouse all the time, right? And so one thing that God enlightened me on this, he says that what we do is that it's like, you're in school and the teacher give a test, right? The teacher give a test, right? And so when you finish the test, she grades the test, right? And so she grades the test, and then she have a score. Keep scoring, keep your grade. And God said that's what we're doing to our spouse. We're being the teacher, and we're given a test by our standards. Come on, it's by our standard. It's not about our prayer is not, God, you make my man of God, you make my husband, you cause him to be what you want him to be, and then bring me into agreement and change me so I can embrace and love on who you gave me, God. And help me to the love that I have for him to cover a multitude of fault. Love to cover all of this. Love to cover all of his shortcomings, right? And so that's why God said, hey, your love is based on condition, right? Because it's based on if you do this and line up to my standards, come on. And then what we do is we give our spouse this test. Come on, unconsciously, we give our spouse this test, and we take them through, and we do certain things to test them. We tested them all the time that we can't enjoy them. We can't enjoy them because we constantly testing them and sizing them up, and to see if they did this, to see if they did that, to see if they did this, to see if they did that. And so when you and you start checking out, that was wrong, that was wrong, that was wrong, right? And then you keep score. And then the score is what? Failing. He done got an F. And so you know what that means? Whoo, failing. Ain't no sugar tonight. Come on, because you ain't come up to my standard. You haven't passed my test. Come on. But listen here, you can't even abide by your own test. Come on. You can't even keep your own law that you're setting up. And so you want to, what does God say? It's supposed to be, the Bible says, he that what? What is that scripture? No comparing yourself by yourself. Is that right? I think that's right. Anyway, but you don't compare yourself by yourself. You don't, you got to have God's standard, God's word. You know what God says. It's not about what you say and how you say. And because God don't judge according like man judges. God looks at the heart. Come on. And God is a forgiving God. And so, I just want to bring all this to your attention. And so if you are in this place right now, if you're in this place right now, if you see yourself in this place right now, and if you see yourself in this place where out of these, this is the time right now that we can go to God and ask. You know what? It is not an overnight thing. It's bringing awareness and a light, because a lot of times we keep going around over and over the same mountain, not understanding what is it, why things are not happening, why is things. This change starts on the inside of us, and that's why God in with the E. Right. I was caught between, he gave me actually E for in, and also examine. So we want to examine ourselves. We want to end from trying to examine the other person and begin to examine ourselves. That just like we have, like we have a car, right? And so, we have a car. And so when our oil is low, right, we put the oil stick in there to see what, no, but what we do, we go do you put the oil stick over in your neighbor car to somebody else's car? No, come on. And you say, oh, they need a quarter oil. They do it, but how much oil you need? Come on. And so you have to examine your own self. And so I pray that this have blessed you on tonight. And I just want you all to know tonight that I love you. I appreciate you. These are signs of a loveless marriage. You can say, like God said, you can say, Lord, Lord, all of this, but he says your heart is far from me. You can say that you love, but your love is based on condition. And so I want to encourage you tonight. Come on, this platform is not to condemn. Right? This is not to condemn. This is not to beat you up. This is not to make you feel bad. This is not to bring you under condemnation of course not. That is not me. But what it is if you don't bring an awareness, it's just like when I was going through, I was going to the doctor for numerous of things. I was, my hair was losing my hair. My skin was changing. I was having heart palpitations. I didn't want my husband to touch me. I didn't want to be around. I was depressed. I didn't answer my phone. And I was just going to the doctor for all these different things. I did not know what was going on with me, right? And so one day, God began to reveal to me, and it said it was menopause. I went to search it out, and sure enough, I had all of those symptoms. It was 34. I'm like, oh God, you have a sense of humor, right? And so, but anyway, God told me, and he took me through that. He said, because there are a lot of couples divorcing because of menopause, because they don't understand. In other words, they don't have an awareness. And so I said, my mom, I knew about hot flashes. I knew about cold sweats, but I didn't know about all this. She said, I never experienced anything like that. And then I began to name all the symptoms of menopause, what I had been experienced. And my mom said, oh, that's what's wrong with me. Right? what it did, brought an awareness, shine a light upon it, that so I can get help. So now I'm no longer under fear, right? Because the Bible says perfect love casts out fear. And so when you begin to be mature, come on. And so I have to do another session about how do we really move from this place to the place that God has prepared us, that we will have love in our marriage, and that we will love our spouse, and that we would start examining our own self, right? God said, how can you try to go over there and get something out somebody else's eye, and you got one of, you got it in your eye, is it a beam? Yes. And so we have to begin to examine ourselves and begin to love and see our husband in a whole different light, and whatever that's getting to you. And so I bless you tonight. I just thank God for you, and each and every one of you. I love you tonight, and thank you for joining. So remember those, divorce, right? Do you want to go there? No, it's not pretty, right? It can be very ugly, right? So you know what? Because if you don't change now, you can go and get in another relationship and you still got to change, right? So you want somebody to accept you the way you are, but you can't accept your spouse the way they are. And so I was just telling someone the other night, and I was talking to her about her marriage because she wanted to leave and stuff like that. And so she was just saying these things regarding her husband. And I say, well, whatever you say about your husband, that's a reflection on you, because you know what? You the one said I do. You the one married him, right? So that let us know about your choice of being. So you have to be careful of what you say out of your mouth when you're mad and upset and all of that. So make sure, let's watch our actions, right? Watch our thoughts and everything like that. All right. So I love you guys tonight. I appreciate all of you for joining me tonight, and tune in tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is our last gym. Yes, our last gym. And I'll let you know the topic later. But anyway, I have a guest coming on with me on tomorrow, and she is going to share, and share how she's been blessed, and we're just going to let the Lord have his way. Since tomorrow is the last one, we might go a little bit longer. How about that? Is that okay with y'all? We'll go a little bit longer, have a little party right at the end. So anyway, God bless you. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, first Friday, February the 5th at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you go to marypittslive.com and register. You do not want to miss it. And feel free to share tonight and be a blessing to someone else. All right. And so until tomorrow, smooches. Love you guys. All right. Have a blessed night. Bye.